It is.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It's still Twitter, right?
In theory.
Who knows? What's the thing that's X? Is that Twitter?
Yeah,
it's
that's
still Twitter, right?
Yeah, it's called X now. It's not
We're
called
on
Twitter.
X, formerly Twitter, but it's still saying everywhere it says X, formerly Twitter.
Yeah.
So this is like Snoop
Which
Lion,
is slowly
formerly
losing everybody.
Snoop Dogg. Whatever. We're live.
Everybody off.
Make sure you go find us on our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and Hive.
You have Hives?
Yeah. So,
I don't think anybody even looks at Hive.
So I think get rid of Hive.
It's easy for me to post to it, so I just keep it because
I don't want you to just spend extra time on stuff.
It takes me literally a couple of minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
I do it a bunch, so I'll probably annoy anybody that's on Hive because I don't even do it every day. Like I go on there because I go back and share stuff on my personal Twitter.
Yes.
And at the same time I do Twitter, I do Hive and Twitter at the same time before I go to sleep.
All this did was put hair all over your back.
That's okay. I'm
gonna pour out some snackies.
I'll roll my shirt later. Look, I'm wearing Manimal.
Look, I'm wearing Godzilla because we're gonna be talking about the new Godzilla.
All right.
I love this.
What are we talking about?
All right. Well, hold on. I had to get some snackles. Let me give one to this dog so she'll go away. We have a wide variety of options. We're just going to roll with whatever comes up.
You're not talking about nothing.
We're going to roll with whatever comes up, and this is the first one. This is a new DC animated film, and it's on Prime.
It's a Prime exclusive. Which is a new thing because, most Warner Brothers DC stuff is on Max, but there were some random stuffs that were like canceled and supposedly not going to happen, and I think Prime picked up some of it. So I don't know if this was always meant to be a Prime thing or if that was part of that shuffle.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's a new film, Merry Little Batman, and it is not like Batman you've ever seen before.
Why is this not showing? Oh. Hold on. I didn't share my screen correctly.
She's messing everything up on our show, like usual.
I know. Man.
Do you even know how this show works?
Yeah. There we go. Now it's coming up.
Okay. Anyway, so Merry Little Batman is an animated feature that's actually following Damian Wayne. And Batman is to leave on a mission, so Damian's home, but he wants to be the next Batman or his sidekick. And so he's trying to find his own way. And he gets pulled into an adventure of chaos and silliness.
It is chaos.
With only Alfred to look over him.
Correct. I think one of the interesting things about this one is a completely different style of animation than we've had in a lot of the other DC animated features. It's very like squiggle.
It's chaotic.
You remember that home movie show? That's kind of what it reminded me.
It's that. It's
very squiggly.
There's elements.
Oh, are you okay?
You okay, dog? It has elements of like the old Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
And even on like SpongeBob when it would cut to not the standard animation of SpongeBob, but there are moments where like somebody was supposed to look gross and it would cut to a thing and they're like, hey. And
yes.
It had a lot of that weird vibe to it, which I loved this animation.
It took me a second to get into it, but it was fine. I was good with it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I love the way Alfred looks. He's so cute.
He's creepy. Him and the Penguin were two of the creepiest looking characters.
It's hilarious.
I love this movie. I've seen it twice now, and I was hesitant going into it because I wasn't sure if it was going to work. And I loved different takes on these kind of characters.
Yeah.
But I also know that sometimes they just don't work depending on the character and what they're trying to go for.
Right.
And was very pleased. I was worried if you were going to like it.
Yes.
Because you like Batman, but you don't like chaotic animation sometimes.
Sometimes I don't, but this one was not bad. It was good. I did enjoy this film. I thought it was a lot of fun. Exploring probably characters and time periods that I'm not aware of because I don't know anything about him when he was little. What do I know?
You know about Damian.
I know who he is. And I liked that at this point, Batman's very much like, it's my little boy. I don't want anything to happen to him, but he's treating him like a baby.
Well, for people that don't know, the hardcore fans that do know the history of Damian and Batman and Ra's al Ghul and all that stuff.
And or Raish.
This one it's not that era. What it is it's kind of an Elseworld story of when Batman became a father, he decided to clean up Gotham completely. And so Batman's kind of retired when it starts.
Yeah.
He's not really Batman. He's got a beard now and everything. So it's kind of a different world because for those that know, Damian was Robin. So and Damian was also killed, and then they brought him back since. And
a lot of things happen.
So he was in the same era of the normal Batman world. So this is a little bit different take.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it because it's kind of like its own little thing.
Yeah.
And I like their take on Joker. It's very much like old school Joker with the hat and the big suit, you know, that style.
I was worried you were going to hate him because he kind of loosely reminded me of the one from the Batman that you don't like with the big straitjacket and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that version.
I was having vibes of like the Batman TV show. Kind of. I don't know.
Batman the animated series or the 60s?
The 60s TV show, because he was wearing like the suit and he had the cool hat and he was very suave, but he was insane in this. Of course, super insane. I don't know. I liked it. I was okay with it. I think there's a couple of the characters like Ivy or Bane or whoever. I love Bane because he's just like rah, 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 and everybody's like, yeah, that's right, Bane. And like nobody knows.
I've never understood that because Bane in the comic is insanely intelligent.
Oh.
But somehow the transition
it didn't make it through to this.
For this animation and for like Batman and Robin, he's just and this one, he's hilarious in this one because even like has like glasses on at one point, it makes for a funny joke because he's so big and then going with that bumbling big guy. But the comic stuff, he's insanely intelligent and he's like,
who knows?
He's like not a henchman. He's the main villain on his own.
Yeah.
You know. So it just cracks me up the way they always use him.
I just thought it was fun. It's a lot of fun.
And
it's a Christmas movie.
And the Joker's not Joker, the Penguin's rolling around in like a little scooter. Because you got to remember, they're all older. So this is like a little bit later. So some of them are older than they used to be.
It's funny. It's just hilarious. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's a great time. I really, really enjoyed this. And I hope that not only do we maybe get more like this for Batman, but I'd like to see some of the other DC characters in this same type of animation. It'd be fun if maybe this became like a new holiday tradition, like a different DC Christmas story, or maybe they do a Batman for Easter or Thanksgiving or whatever in the same style. It'd be fun.
Yeah. So there you go.
But if you like Batman and everything else, check it out. You may or may not like it. I thought it was a blast. Just go in there, have a good time, and recognize that it's not your normal Batman. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's cute. And I think this one is a family film.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's a good father and son story. And it's Luke Wilson.
Yeah, Luke Wilson's Batman.
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne.
So,
my favorite part is there's a line in there. He's like, my figure's laying down on the floor over there.
Yep.
Dang it, man. Watch her. Don't let her chew that up.
Okay.
You keep an eye on her.
She's watching.
Where he says something like, I'm your kid. And you're like, yeah. You crack me up.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh. No, because he's like, Dad, you don't have to worry about me. He's like, but you're just a kid, Damien. He's like, yeah, but I'm your kid.
I was trying not to spoil the entire line, but this one doesn't.
No, I don't care. It's so cute. But you don't know where it is in the story. It doesn't matter. It's a family movie. Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Very Little Batman is streaming on Prime now.
Okay, let's take a hard left, my friends.
That's right. To another Christmas film.
The Exorcist Believer.
No, we did never get to go see this one in the theater. We kept planning to. Things just weren't working.
Here.
But now it's already streaming on Peacock.
Yep.
And in a couple of weeks, it'll hit Blu-ray and 4K and all that
the
stuff.
Video.
It is part of a planned trilogy, I believe. And it's also made by David Gordon Green, the same person that rebooted the Halloween franchise, and Blumhouse and whatnot. The Exorcist is one of those movies that...
Tell me your feeling.
It's iconic, obviously.
Totally.
And for the time it came out, I have no doubt of it's being terrifying. But if you didn't see it at the time it came out and you see it later, it's not overly exciting. It's not really that scary.
It's slow.
Yeah, it's very.
And all this stuff happens at the end. Like
it's still an excellent movie.
It's a good movie. It's creepy, and I can understand at the time period it had to have been super controversial.
And Linda Blair is phenomenal in the movie in what she has to do and her execution of it. So I don't want to diminish what I think the movie is, but it's not one of those horror films that's really ever been on the top of my list. At the same time, it's this type of story has never been one for me that I think screams franchise. At least not in a repeat of the same character, which I know with Exorcist 1 and 2, they kept dealing with Reagan and Linda Blair, and then Exorcist 3. I don't even remember it. I remember being decent, but I think it was a prequel or something.
Yeah.
And they've done different variations of them. So when they talked about making another Exorcist, but when I realized they were going to go with some different girls, I said, okay, that's the only way I ever thought this should work. Is each time you would do an Exorcist movie, it'd be about a different exorcism. So it's kind of like what they do with the Conjuring universe,
right?
A different case,
right?
You know, because there's only so much you can do with an exorcism that's different.
There's just so many of these Exorcist prequels, the beginning, part 3, then as a separate part, like there's 2 separate lines of part 2s and part 3s.
I'm aware.
It's a lot, man, but it's okay. But I agree with you. Stuff like this, where it's separate but connected in a way, because you see in the trailer, it's connected in a way to the original. And I agree. It could be just continual movies of things that are happening, and
but
tie it together some way. I don't know.
In this case,
it's not necessarily necessary to do that.
No, but I like this variation of the connection, because this one wasn't trying to be a direct connection in relation to Reagan.
Right.
It's in the same universe. Reagan exists. You know, they bring back Ellen Burstyn, who played Reagan's mom in the original movie. So you have the connection to the original film.
By the way, she's pretty.
But it's an
older lady now.
But it's a new story, you know, and then it has ties back to the thing, because when you get into the demons and all these other kind of things, of course, it's going to be a lot of the same stuff and maybe familiars. And so I thought that was a very interesting twist to this one. I enjoyed this one. It's got a lot of hate. It's got a lot of bashing. You know, I've seen people that say they loved it, or I've seen people say it's just horrible. And I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit.
I liked it. I thought it was fine. I'm with you. I'm torn on my assessment, because I believe these things are real. So in a way, that itself is scary to me. But then this one, I wish we'd pushed it a little bit. I think we could have gone into maybe a little darker place. I feel like The Exorcist itself was kind of calm compared to, like, if you compare it to Reagan's was like crazy and people were dying and things were happening. The house was shaking. I feel like this one was relatively calm.
Well, I think
I
know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but I think this one also, it allowed it. To me, it had a more element of realism, from the standpoint of as much as you can classify realism to what the movie is, because you're juggling 2 people. And so it's kind of bouncing instead of where Reagan had to carry the entire thing by herself. Correct. So they had to go way deeper and all this stuff. And this time, you got to remember my assessment of the original Exorcist, that they didn't have any idea of what was going on.
Correct. Oh, that's
this
true.
One now it's familiar, so they're immediately jumping on it. And it's not like a buildup of, like, you know, you have your characters that don't believe what's going on.
Correct.
But we also have people that, look, we know this is
this is what happened.
Yeah, and we have the mom coming back and saying, look, this is what happened. You know, you don't have to believe it.
And
believe, you know.
I think okay, so I thought that was real too. However, I'm going to say not however. And what I did like about the exorcism itself is we have a convergence of multiple people with multiple beliefs of possession and things. So we get into it, and there's a couple of different religions. There's a couple of not even religions, but beliefs from the old country, we're going to say. So there's a convergence of people, and they all come together, and they do believe that some sort of possession or spirit or whatever can possess things. And I thought it was really interesting because everybody brought their own stuff to it, like their charms or their smokes or their fires or their readings and the Bibles and the crosses. Like everybody came together. So in a way, this is a movie about togetherness.
Here's what's sad, and this is how the work of Hollywood, because in the real world that would not happen.
You don't think I don't think so, because I think old Italy or old Africa, somebody that came in that was like voodoo type religion, Christian, and a priest.
The Christian person would automatically be like, no, that's of the devil. I cannot be in here with them, and they can't be here. They're gonna make it worse. That's the problem is, and we had this discussion, and as I was like, if your hardcore belief in this kind of thing,
yes,
I don't necessarily believe in these things.
I think it's true.
Okay, I didn't tell you. You don't need to argue with me that you believe it's true. I just said I know you do.
A person would say it's true too.
But what I'm saying.
Okay.
This happens in our life a lot, where I can't say something. She immediately starts defending herself, and I'm not even attacking her. What I'm saying is we have two different belief systems. If we worked into a situation and it was like this, and say our kid was possessed, and sometimes you talk to them, we're still not quite sure they're not. But when it came down to the situation, I would not be against trying anything. Kind of like, I may not believe whatever the hell you say is going on, but if it's going to fix the problem, let's do it. You know, if your thing doesn't,
that's represented in this as well.
That's what I'm saying. But you get so many in the real world, or even, you know, we talk about the beliefs of different religions, and the idea of somebody saying, bless you, you know,
Yes.
or I'm going to pray for you. And people get offended by that. Where I look at it, we've had the discussion before of like, we've gone to other countries and you didn't want to go into a temple because you had to kneel.
Into a temple. Yeah, I won't kneel,
but my mentality of the same idea is I'm not kneeling to pray to them. I'm kneeling because that's what their cultures asked me to do. I'm still going to pray to whoever I believe to. I'm not looking at this idol and praying. So I'm looking at it as a respect factor. The same way you say when somebody says, you know, Allah praise you, you're going to be like, thank you. Yeah, thanks, you know, because that's them
Somebody's
expressing.
Like, Allah bless you. It's like,
yeah, they're not telling you change your belief. They're expressing love and they're expressing positivity, and there's no wrong for that.
Yeah.
And what somebody says you doesn't change your belief. So I did love, like you said, in this movie that you have two kind of groups working together.
It was like three.
Well, I'm just saying there's these groups working together, all to try to solve the same case and same problem. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and do this because we're stronger together. And if one ain't going to work, maybe this one will, but it's all happening. Instead of, no, we're not doing that and they go wrong, you know.
I didn't like their weird faces. I don't like the big puff faces.
The kids?
Yeah.
Oh, I love their visuals, man.
It makes them look like their vampire face.
I didn't get that at all.
With the big brow and the big thing. All that was missing
I just got them that they were just super disturbed and mentally, and like, I love these two girls. I thought they were outstanding.
They did really good. I didn't care for the specific visuals. Prosthetic of the cheeks. I think the cheeks bother me.
But see, I think the necessity behind that.
Is there a way to not make sunken eyes without big cheeks?
Well, I think the problem is you're looking younger people, so they're smaller faces. So anything you add is going to make it. But I think, to me, it almost gave them an adult look, even though they're children.
Mm-hmm.
But their childlike features makes them look creepier.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're doing stuff like the down look like this, like the evil and the bigger brow, it makes this even more bold but sunk in deeper. I love them. I love the way they looked. I thought they were outstanding in this movie.
They did really good. And then I was reading, you said there was an article that Linda Blair was behind the scenes.
Yeah, that she was
just as a consultant, I guess, or a moral support coach, whatever you want to call it,
on how to deal with them and how for them to deal with it.
Yes, because it's children still dealing with heavy subject matter, whether or not they believe in it later, you know. But also, I think it was very impressionable on her and her upbringing, and physically, her back was jacked up for the rest of her life because of this.
Well, it's interesting too, because totally not related, but I hadn't told you this because you went to sleep, and I watched a documentary last night on the making of the original It miniseries.
The clown.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the girls in it, which she was the main little girl when she was a kid, she talked about some of the scenes she shot and everything else, that it caused her to have fear of showers.
Oh,
because,
my
like,
goodness.
there's blood and there's all these scenes. And she goes, so for a while, I was terrified to take a shower just from shooting those scenes and the stuff they had to do. And so it's always interesting how...
Yeah.
You know it's fake when you're in there. You know it's fine, but it can still mentally mess
So that's
with you.
kind of cool that, you know, they had this people on set for them specifically to make sure they were okay.
I thought this was a not only a good sequel, requel, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was a good addition to the franchise. I think it
I guess.
I think it captures the essence of what the franchise is. I think it honors the franchise while still being its own thing.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything that I would be like, I'd change that. I thought it was fine.
No, I thought it was good. No,
I think it got a little heavier supernaturally than the original did at the end. But I was okay with that because I would want them to kind of step it up.
Yeah, no, and I think because of all the different parties involved, I think it heightened that area of the supernatural, whatever was happening. But yeah. I was okay with it. Yeah, no, it's a really good movie. I enjoyed it. It's not the scariest movie ever.
I didn't think it was scary at all.
So, but it is creepy. They are creepy. that one little girl when she goes into the church and she's got then you see it in the thing. That was creepy.
There's something like I love creepy kids. I know you don't.
I don't.
But in this case, when they let
necessary.
the kids go, like there's something that always happens in movies where the kid is creepy, but you can tell they're being held back because they don't want to let the actor cuss or do something creepy and disturbing or weird.
But that's what makes
it
good.
But in this
visually.
one, those girls are pretty effed up, and they do a couple of things in it that are make you more uncomfortable because they're children.
Yes.
You know,
and I think that's
and I think that gives you the impact that the story needs, because it shouldn't feel like, oh, they're kids, so they're not going to do this because, you know, I know they're possessed, but they're still children.
Mm-mm.
Like that's what makes it disturbing is this. So if you don't like the original movie, whether it's because you hate it or because you're disturbed by the exorcism stuff, then don't watch this one.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan, give it a try.
Yeah.
I know they're making another one, but I've heard because of some of the complaints that people had, I think they're retooling some of it. Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
All right. Check it out.
The Exorcist Believer is available now on Peacock, and I believe it hits on 4K Blu-ray December 19th.
All right. We're going here.
Which one?
This one.
Ah.
Right turn. This movie is The Creator.
And we're going right into science fiction.
So, complete left turn from exorcisms. It's funny because the thing says creator from the director of Rogue One. And if you look at this poster, this is a very Rogue One looking poster.
Yeah.
This one that I picked. This is a beautiful wallpaper, by the way, too. It's really pretty. Okay, so this is the movie that is about, we're in an alternate future reality. AI is a thing, and they are sentient beings, and supposedly AI sent out a bomb to destroy humanity, and so now the humans are fighting back. The issues are...
and here it's basically now if the AI droids, cyborgs, whatever you want to classify them, are basically outlawed. They're considered criminals in the U.S.
In the U.S., they can live freely in Asia.
And that's
the Asian people are like, we're good with it.
They kind of separated. They're not at war over there. Everything's good. And that's where the problem comes in, because the U.S. decides
we're going to go fix it.
And there's a great line in the movie where the guy's like, you know, they're going to come over here. They're going to start a war. But when they leave, we're going to go back to normal. We're not going over there to attack them. We don't have an issue.
So this is our first thing. Our first topic is, why do we get involved in crap that's none of our business, y'all?
This entire movie, I enjoyed this movie. It is slow at times.
It's slow. That was going to be my only observation.
I think technically it's awesome. I said I like the story, but there is some undertones of
war.
Yeah, the things of violence and the
how the U.S. gets involved in wars that people didn't ask us to help. You can probably look at
some elements of being like a propaganda thing, or
yeah, some people may not like that part of the story.
Yeah, because I know there were some complaints about it, that some people thought that they were like, oh, it's very much like it's preaching to me about why we shouldn't do this, why we shouldn't do this, and it's kind of juggling the stance of AI. Do we agree it? Do we embrace it? Do we not want to have it? You can buy into all of that stuff because a lot of those elements are there in some form. But you can also step back and just watch the movie.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel that they were overly powered.
It's pretty cool looking. I mean, what they're able to do, like this is just one thing. But like the little kid and the design of, like, I don't even know. I'm assuming they wore like a green thing.
Yeah, I assume
and
so.
Then they computer. Are you eating my chips?
I mean, except they're in the pantry in the house that I live in.
Can I have some? Wow. I thought it was really cool looking. And you know, at this point in the future where you have prosthetics, but they're more of like Luke Skywalker prosthetics, like, you know, computerized things. And so it's interesting to me. Oops. People would probably accept that, like, hey, I have a cool, you know, mobile prosthetic thing, but then they wouldn't accept a full created person body thing of a thing. So it's that whole thing. We're duplicitous.
Well, the irony too is that we're in this. They had the Hill writers and acting strike, and AI was a major argument, part of it, and I agree with it because as an artist, there's been a rising thing too of people creating AI art. So people that aren't artists now are creating artwork that they're not actually creating. They're just putting in an idea They have some of these generators. It's
Do it.
amazing technology.
It's like, do it in this
But it
style of
says,
this artist, and there you go.
I want Drusilla as somebody from The Simpsons, and then it makes the art, and then they print it and they sell it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
like, but you didn't do anything.
I saw too, some actors are suing because they've taken their image and then they've computerized their voice to make it sound like they said something they didn't.
Yeah, somebody posted a thing the other day that they entered a song and then altered the artist to somebody else, and then it made that artist sing that song.
Oh no!
So now they can just
they can
put out new music from Tupac now if they wanted to.
So how we were saying they could steal your voice and your face and make it look like you did a crime. We're to that point in our lives.
Pretty much.
Oh my gosh! And they have all our DNA from
and
all
one of the big
things.
things with the acting world, and it sounds stupid, but from a business perspective, it sounds like it makes some sense. Is like they were trying to set it to where the potential of taking extras and create them like people that do those stock photo modeling. Somebody does a model and they pay them the one thing, but they sign a contract and they can use that, and it gets put in textbooks and
over and over,
brochures and all these things. That stuff's fine. The model agreed to that, but it's always that image that they shot for that, and they're not used for movies and TV. They're used for random stuff.
Print.
But now they were taking extras, and they were taking extra out of one movie, and then they'd AI create it and put it into another movie, not even the same kind of scene. So like they need a crowd scene, fill it with a bunch of AI people. Now they don't have to pay the extras. Where that's from a budget sense, it makes total sense. But the problem is a lot of these actors,
someone's likeness.
but they're also taking away the door of how people get into the business. You're taking away the chance to become an actor, because a lot of these actors, you'd be surprised how many of these big famous actors that we know and love were a background extra in some random movie you didn't even know.
Correct. Which we find out when we go back and watch old things. I'm like, that's so and so when they were 20 years old.
Like a very famous one, which is silly, but I like throwing it out there anyway, is Jean-Claude Van Damme in Breakin'.
Yeah, he's just all that.
He's got a scene at the beginning of the original Breakin' movie. He's in his onesie and he's doing a dance during the party scene. That was the first time U.S. audiences saw Jean-Claude Van Damme, and now it's an iconic moment. But had he not got in that movie, he may not have met this director, may not have met this producer, or may not have met this person to get in. And that's how most everyone gets started.
Yeah, it's a mess. Anyways, the movie itself is good. It is slow. Please be patient, but it's a good story. It really, in the end, it's a story about just family and what does family mean, and does family have to be someone in existence or created, I guess. Can you create a family, a robot family, and be happy and in love? I don't know.
I like too that it's
different.
I don't think we get enough science fiction films that are creative. Like they're either a franchise, they're part of something that already exists, or they're either way over the top of what you expect to be a sci-fi space and ships and that, or it's so subtle that doesn't feel science fiction-y. Like this movie felt epic. It felt like a bigger scope. It felt like a world that was familiar, but something we'd never seen before. And it felt like it could exist. Yeah. Because even though it's fantastical and it's, there's crazy android type people that were not at that place yet in the way it exists here. Yeah. You feel like this could happen. Yep. And plus it's got some great talent, and I love getting to see Ken Watanabe again, and I hadn't seen him in a while, and getting to see him as like a cyborg type droid person instead of just a normal. So I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a cool, it wasn't as exciting throughout as I expected it to be, but that's because it's world building and it's story building, and I'm actually going to go watch it again just to revisit it, and so I can sit and focus a little bit more, because I was working and watching it at the same time, and I'd like to give it a little bit of more depth of my attention.
Well, I do think we need to figure out what we're doing with our lives, because
I know what I'm doing with my life, sister.
No, I'm just saying about AI and robotics and stuff, because they will take over. They will absolutely take over, and they will use critical thinking models to decide whether humans should live or die. And I don't think we're going to make it, because we are the most dangerous, horrible creature on this planet. And robots or AI or whatever are very logical thinkers. They're
Yep.
going to be logical thinkers. Create a perfect society. Kill the humans.
And on that note, the creator is available now on. No, I don't
it's
know.
coming out this week on
Blu-ray and
DVD.
DVD. I was trying to figure out if it was streaming somewhere, but I don't think.
I just know because I actually looked up the movie while I was.
Oh, well, I knew it was coming out.
I did my homework today.
Yeah, so it's coming out of 4K Blu-ray and everything this Tuesday on the 12th. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but you can see it there.
All right, tell me about this. I'm excited to watch it.
So you didn't get a chance to watch it yet,
but I will be this week.
Okay, so it's kind of an interesting story. So this next one I'm talking about is The Boy and the Heron, not heroin, Heron.
The Heron.
It is the latest film from Hayao Miyazaki, who's done Spirited Away, Kiki's Delivery Service, Princess Mononoke, Studio Ghibli. And what's interesting about it is he did a documentary a few years ago, and I don't know if you ever sat and watched it. If you haven't, we need to watch it again because I loved it. But it's it's about his career, but also his struggle of he's making like this short film. I think it's about a frog, if I remember.
It's the one where they go to his office and they show him.
He's always smoking. Yes, did you watch that with me?
Yes, I did. It's very interesting.
Well, see,
how he just draws everything, and he goes and he expects like everybody to just do perfect work, like, and he's watching everyone draw and like putting it together, and it's really fascinating. And then they take a little tea break.
So I'm looking at it. And so here's what's fantastic about this movie even existing at this moment is in 2013 he announced his retirement. He was done. He wasn't going to make anything else. And then he made his little short film and changed his mind. So he's been working on this movie since 2016. And it's based on a novel, I think it is from like 1937 or something. But what's interesting, I was reading an article about it, and he's very old now. So they said that it takes him a month just to do a few minutes of animation. So it is very slow on process to get it making now. And so the fact the movie even exists, so there's a high chance, I'm assuming this will probably be the last film he makes. But it is a fantastic movie. It is weird, it's bizarre, it's fantastical, but it's just like
all of his things are.
Yeah, but what's interesting about all of his movies, well, first let me tell you, this movie follows a young boy who moves to his family's estate in the country after losing his mom during the war. And while he's there, he ends up going to some he follows this heron that's kept flying around him at this mysterious thing. But when he ends up, his stepmother or somebody disappears. He follows the heron to this tower and then ends up in this new fantastical world. Kind of what it is. So the whole movie is dealing with loss and forgiveness and betrayal, and it's very heavy in its storytelling and what it is. You sometimes can get lost in these films because all of his movies have a realistic, true life message at the core of it, no matter how weird and fantastical they are. But you get lost because like this heron is a person. So as you see in the picture, it just looks like a person. At one point, I had to take a double take because he suddenly had teeth. And then all of a sudden,
the bird?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, as he's talking, you can see his mouth is open and there's a gigantic nose inside his mouth to the point where his mouth fully opens up and there's a head comes out of it. And so he's like half person, half heron, and it's just weird fantasy character that's ridiculous and engaging all at the same time. But then you just go on this normal kind of adventure journey in this new world, and there's so many things. It's hard to really put into words, really explaining this, because it's like any of his other movies. If you've ever seen them, they're so creative in their execution of like the type of characters and the mashups and creations and weird dragons or whatever you want to call them, of types of characters that show up, that you're like, who would have thought of that? It's just odd. And the animation is beautiful. It's probably one of the more beautiful films I've seen him doing forever. And you just get sucked into it immediately. And I'm sure you're probably going to cry when you watch some of it. I
probably will.
But then there's like magical elements, and there's this whole thing with these little birds that I can kind of use it because it won't really spoil it. But when you go through this one doorway, you're in the regular world or you're in this fantastical world, right?
Right.
And there's these birds.
No.
They're like these just little, just
Go
different
on.
colored little tiny regular birds, right?
Yeah.
In this fantastical world, they're life size, like people size birds, and they're like warriors and all these little things. But they look the same, just size difference.
Yeah.
And so there's one shot, and it's the attention to detail that makes it so amazing. Is they run through this door, and all these birds are trying to go out this door at the same time, but they're people-sized birds. They all can't get through. When they bust through the door, they shrink to normal-sized birds, and there's just tons of them flying out. It's just a beautiful shot, and it's still amazing to me to this day what they can do with animation. But this one still being old style animation, not CGI.
Correct. It's like
three-dimensional,
like
it's
legit
2D
drawing.
Yeah, it's 2D animation. It's still amazingly beautiful. It's definitely on one of my top of the list of animation of the year.
They're saying Mr. Hayao Miyazaki is one of the best animators ever.
Ever exist. I agree with that. I do agree with that. I may not have always been a fan of some of his work,
right?
As far as like the storytelling and let me rephrase, not the storytelling, the concepts of what some of the stories are.
That some of them are so fantastical and weird. Like you're
like, it took me a while. I'm a huge fan now, but at one point I was like, I have no interest in Kiki's Delivery Service.
I love Kiki,
but I'm a huge fan now, and I love all his movies. I love Princess Mononoke. I think it's fantastic. So this is another one. So I wanted to tell you. So there's two variations of this. There's the regular one. Right, and then there's the American dub.
Yes, because I'm seeing it has like Robert.
Yeah, so it's Christian Bale, Dave Bautista, Gemma Chan, Willem Dafoe, Mark Hamill, Robert Pattinson, Florence Pugh, are all these. I didn't get to see this version. I saw the version that they sent me that was in Japanese.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably better for it.
Yeah. So the other interesting thing,
I'm gonna watch it,
is that where's it at? Hold on. This weekend's box office, pretty slow, but the Boy and the Heron landed first place, as the top movie of the weekend. It only made $12.8 million, which doesn't sound like a lot of money. But it says in this article I'm reading, it says, that number seems low for first place. It's actually quite a feet has become G-Kids, the one that distributes Studio Ghibli stuff, and Studio Ghibli's highest domestic opening of all time.
Aww,
so the film
good for them.
It's also become his Academy Award winner's highest domestic opening of all time, while only about $5 million away from becoming his highest grossing domestic release of all time, currently held by Ponyo. So it's a massive hit.
That's awesome. I'm glad for him.
And this isn't a movie I would have thought would be a massive hit in the box office, because it's kind of a niche kind of thing. Not everybody's like, my parents would never watch this.
Correct. But they're probably like, what does this mean?
No, my parents would be more like,
I'm not going to watch a cartoon.
And there's some other people. See, like that's what I was telling you. Okay, there's some other people like that I know too. They'd be like, movies fan. Oh, but that's a cartoon. I would never watch.
It's not a cartoon. It's an animated feature.
It is, and it's an adult film. It's not. This is not a movie for children. It's scary at times. It's not like perverted or anything, but there's a lot of scary elements in his movies, and
a lot of the other movies too,
and a lot of tragedy and things like that. Yeah. So anyway, The Boy and the Heron is in theaters now. So if you want to see something different,
yes, go.
And like I said, it may be the last movie we get from him. So go check it out.
Okay. Next, we're going to another animated feature. This one is a family film. This is the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie, Christmas Cabin Fever. It's on Disney Plus.
So excited!
I'm gonna tell you right now, their little elf on the shelf is the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Lord have mercy.
Well, we're big
Wimpy
Kid fans in this house. My son, it's funny, my son's never read the books to my knowledge, but he owns every one of them.
Every single book.
He did love the live action movies, and it has become an annual kind of joke gift, but not to give him the new Wimpy Kid book, even though he's now
series
in his mid to late 20s. He knows he's going to get it, but now they're being passed on to his daughter, and so hopefully she seems a little bit smarter than him. So
she likes reading.
Yeah, so maybe she'll read them finally. But we do love these movies. So they started, I think this is the third one they've done. They started doing a Disney Plus exclusive little hour specials of each book. And I love them.
They're so funny. I mean, my favorite is still the Booger Kid, Fregley.
Fregley.
And the cheese. Don't touch that cheese.
Like she tells me before this one, she goes, I'm fine with this as long as there's some cheese and a booger. And I'm like, well, the cheese is only in the first story, but there is boogers.
There is boogers,
yeah.
So we're good.
And we do also discuss the fact that
Rowley?
No.
Oh.
I just went, what is his name?
Greg,
thank you. Greg is not the greatest friend.
Greg is not, but that's what you say. Rowley is the best friend. He is with
He's
them.
just a good human being.
He is a good person.
He's a little bit of an idiot.
He is, but you know what? In his naivete, he is always with Greg. No matter when Greg leads him wrong, he is with them. He's like his ride or die. And I'm waiting for when they get older. He's going to be like, Greg, I can't be your friend.
Well, you know that happened in the first one when he got really popular because of his Zooey Mama cartoon.
Oh, Zooey Mama.
And he kind of left Greg behind.
He did.
And Greg had to realize, because Greg got jealous, and Greg had to realize.
But Greg is not really a good.
I think
Greg is your average kid that gets into trouble.
I think
sometimes.
Greg truly loves Rowley.
I hope
they're good friends, but Greg's also a very selfish kid.
He is.
Everything's about Greg. And I love that like there's even a moment he goes, have I ever got you in trouble or had you do something wrong? And Rowley's like, many times. But he's still there because he's his friend.
His best friend.
He loves him. So yeah.
Oh my god.
So this is a typical Christmas adventure. You don't have to watch any of the previous films, but you should. Each one's only like an hour long. The animation is beautiful. I think this was one of those franchises that should never have been live action. I think it should have been animation from the beginning. Mm-hmm. While I love the live action movies, at least the first 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I think they're fun. I just think because it's about these kids, it's not something to start a good franchise with because we know the kids are going to grow up.
Yeah.
With animation, you can maintain it for a
while. That one little boy, though, that played Greg was cute.
He was awesome. But by the time we got to the third movie, he was super tall and it just looked big. Weird. It wasn't as cute.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, this new one's fun. I was so excited for it. I hope we get a new one every year. I think since they've started, we've gotten one every year. So I hope they keep going.
But it's a really cute family movie. It's about Christmas time, what it means when you're giving and receiving gifts. The elf on the shelf is there, the naughty and nice list. There's an epic snow scene. I mean, so it's actually a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it.
And I love with the animation that they shift between this style that you see on the screen with the poster and the style of what it looks like in the book.
Yes.
So the pencil type drawing. So you get both versions. It's a big nod, and they can make these things forever.
Yeah, it's so cute. Make a new book, make a new movie.
I'm waiting to see if they're going to do one of the spinoffs because Rowley's had a couple of books of his own. So
that'd be cute.
I'd Fregley or Rowley. I'll be down to watch either one of them.
He's like, hey guys,
the live action.
Do you want to come over?
The live action Fregley was fantastic.
He was a cute kid. It was perfect. It was perfect casting.
We only get Fregley once in this episode.
And isn't that weird? It's funny. Like perfect casting of a drawing of a kid.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's
they did
personality thing sometimes.
This kid, oh, so cute and creepy and boogery.
Speaking of casting, and I mentioned it. I know it's totally not related to this, but talking about that It documentary.
Yes.
They were talking about casting the kids and the adults, and they needed to somehow make them match.
Yeah.
Sometimes the kid was cast first, then they had to match the adult, and sometimes the adult.
This was on the original, though.
Yeah, the original miniseries.
You have to go think.
But then when they got the cast they wanted of the adults, because every one of them was a who's who in television at the time.
Mm-hmm.
John Ritter and all the different people, Harry Anderson. And so they did a camp when they took all the adults and all the kids to hang out together for however many weeks. And each of them got together and figured out nuances so that they would do the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, you have to. You have to figure each other out.
Some of it I never caught because there was one kid, because
this has Seth, what's his name in it?
Seth Green.
Seth Green when he was
little.
So
the kid that played John Ritter as a kid, they're the only two that really know nothing alike.
Oh.
And so they had to figure out nuances of how they would move. And so like the kid did like this thing when he was nervous, and then they kind of showed a fade to the movie with John Ritter, and he's like,
see.
So you kind of see that
you connect. I have to go back and watch that.
So anyway, sorry, totally not related to this movie.
No, I took it off.
The new Diary of a Wimpy Kid is, as well as the previous two, are all on Disney Plus. So
go check it out. Get your kids.
They're fun.
Gather everyone around. All right.
Fun stuff.
Is this the last one? Nope, we got 2 more. Okay, you guys. OMG. OMG.
So, ironically enough, you may not even have realized this.
I didn't.
We're heading into the latest edition of the Godzilla franchise, Godzilla Minus One, which the other film we talked about, the creator,
Yes.
he is the guy that directed the Godzilla movie from 2016 that launched the MonsterVerse that we now have.
Oh.
Yeah,
all of the Monarch
Godzilla.
stuff?
Yeah. that same director did the creator.
Gotcha. Oh.
And before we talk about this, I was going to tell you last night. Oh, I think I have a quote too. I wanted to tell you last night, but you had already gone to sleep.
Excited. Okay.
Because it was related to Godzilla, and we had just watched it. But first, I saw an article where that guy, Gareth Edwards, saw this movie, and he said he was insanely jealous. He goes, because that's what a Godzilla movie is supposed to look like,
right?
You know. And then after the success, the director, who apparently was the writer, director, and member of the visual effects team, he says
of
this one.
Oh, okay.
He said, we're excited by the tremendous response in North America. I've been reading the fan feedback on social media and I'm very encouraged by the passionate comments based on a thorough analysis of the film. In some theaters, I've heard there was even applause.
Yes,
Thank you for warmly receiving our Godzilla.
Our theater had applause. It was light applause, but I was like, and people clapped.
So
you guys,
this journey, before we get first, one other thing real fast I want to tell you.
All right.
So the confusing to me was the last Godzilla, the last Toho Japanese Godzilla movie we got was Shin Godzilla. And it was a pretty big hit. It wasn't a hit like this has been, but it was a pretty big hit. And so everybody expected a sequel.
And
Shin.
Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, so everybody thought we were going to get a sequel to Shin Godzilla. We've been waiting. Nothing happened. And I had read a thing that they were saying that the Toho was such a success for them that they couldn't figure out how to make a sequel.
You know what?
And so they had planned to just shelve it for now, because they do this with Godzilla every few years. He disappears.
They have a new one.
There's 10-year breaks, and then they'll make a new one. And it wasn't until this guy came and pitched him his idea. And the crazy thing, now that you've seen this movie,
yes,
what do you think the budget on this movie was? Knowing what you've seen, what's it look like? And knowing how movies budgets are nowadays.
I'm gonna say, just looking at a lot of stuff, I bet they went old school with miniatures and stuff.
They didn't go to school with not much of it, but yeah.
But I'm just saying parts of it, and I loved that, by the way.
Yeah.
And you just had a couple of main actors, a couple of small sets, and probably most of it on Godzilla design. A couple $1 million.
No, it was probably a little bit less than 15 million.
Yeah.
Which is an insanely small budget.
I would say 10.
It's a very insanely small budget for a movie like this. That's already raked in probably over $100 million.
Good for them.
It's an insane hit.
Smart.
To the point where it got expanded in the U.S. markets this weekend. So anyway.
Yeah, because originally we were looking for tickets, and it only showed tickets through the week, not the next weekend.
Yeah, I thought it was the end of it.
So we're like, is it only a 1 week run? And then suddenly they added more
showings. We had tried to buy tickets. There wasn't anything for when we were going to be able to go.
And we're like,
then I happened to be doing an article and a news story popped up. It says, Godzilla has expanded the markets. I went back and looked and they was open. I'm like, ah!
And our theater, it was the middle of the day, Saturday, and it was pretty full.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of people. I was going to say, first, obviously, you can tell we're Godzilla people. I love Godzilla. I don't know why. And I have my little I love this thing. We have these little things. Every time we go through, or I used to travel a lot and go through the Tokyo airport. You go to that one big gift shop on that second floor. You know, the noodles are over here. And you go to the gift shop. They have one section that's just Godzilla shirts and stuff. And
I finally got this really badass Godzilla shirt at Epcot. And we got it home and it didn't fit me. Because they were all packaged in, you couldn't try them on. So she got another Godzilla shirt that I still don't have.
I've got like 3 shirts.
I actually have a Cocaine Gaiju shirt, which is a parody on Cocaine Bear with Godzilla on it that I forgot to wear today.
So we love Godzilla. Let's just say that. So, and then you were telling me this is just an independent by itself Godzilla movie. I'm like,
yes, this movie is by itself. And now that I've seen it, you may not even realize this because I know you love Godzilla, but you don't keep track of all the timelines.
I don't know all these things.
So this movie is almost a prequel to the original Godzilla, because the original Godzilla movie came out in 1950 something or other. Mm-hmm. This movie takes place in 1945.
Oh, okay.
But it's also, at least to me, and you can tell me if you got the same vibe, I felt like this was almost a reimagining of his origins.
Yes.
Of the beginning of Godzilla.
Because we don't really know.
Because in the original movie, it's the atomic bomb, and
yes, and those
in this one, you see a smaller version of Godzilla at one point, and then there's the bombs, and it gets bigger. So it's almost like that creature existed, and then because of the bombs and stuff, it made it even bigger than what it was.
Yeah. It's sucking up energy.
So what did you think of the movie?
I love this movie. I want to watch it again. I'm ready to go watch it again. Like, I would pay to go watch this again.
I would too.
It is so good. And I think why too is because it's not just slowly hit. It has a really good sub story about this guy and this lady and a kid, and they're like just what's happening. Not even with Godzilla, there was a whole other war thing happening.
This movie, I wrote in my review that this movie could have gotten rid of Godzilla. It been a completely separate, compelling movie about
a beautiful
war,
drama about
and PTSD,
war. Yes,
and loss, and
because this is World War
II.
I don't know. World War II, just after World War II, and so
because it's like all these villages and stuff that have been destroyed, so people have lost families,
and
people are displaced.
It was giving me really insightful. I guess I obviously being American, I never thought of how devastating it was after to Japan after World War II. What happened?
Well, because we were against them.
I mean, but
but
like the bombings and complete neighborhoods and cities were destroyed, and you know their army guys, Navy, and their fighter pilots, and everybody, they came home. And they felt disgraced. They were treated because they didn't win. So they were now disgraced, and nobody took care of them. Nobody helped him.
Well, it's
this one guy's dealing with PTSD, and
and it's interesting too because
he didn't want to.
He's a kamikaze pilot, which means he should have never been home.
No, they were the suicide bomber guys.
And
they
so
were just flying
like I was already seeing.
Oh my god!
The only frustrating thing I had, and I understood his place. It was a matter of honor.
Yeah.
But. So the whole thing kind of kicks off. This isn't a spoiler, but it kicks off with him landing on this island. And this island is meant to be like a repair station, refueling station for kamikaze pilots because they may be taking these long flights, have some problem.
Yeah.
Then they take off and they go kamikaze. Events happen on that, and then he gets home. But when people start getting onto him and giving him crap at it, I don't know why he ever said, "Look, I landed on this island with an issue." And then this crap happened. So
because but
they would have never known until a later event that could have shown it. But I saw an easy out of saying, I was a kamikaze pilot, but I landed on this island, my plane issues, and then such and such happened. Instead, he was just always like, I was a failure kamikaze pilot, which he was. But
I just as an American unaware of what happened in World War II, I wasn't there, obviously wasn't here yet.
What?
But just to be brought in to understand how they felt themselves. Like they were so disenfranchised, and all these people that had been in the war, they felt like failures. They were told they were failures. It said there were mass amounts of suicides.
Is this the first
psychological PTSD and all sorts of stuff?
Is this the very first Godzilla movie that you've ever cried at?
I think so. Like I was, and you know, it's not even about Godzilla because it really is. It is a great dramatic movie by itself, and then you add Godzilla, and I'm like, whoa.
And where it succeeds is, first of all, the person that made it. Like, I love anything Godzilla. Like, I know there's issues with them, but there has not been something that's come out with Godzilla that I haven't loved. Now, I may not have liked it as much as something else. I may have had issues with it, but I love it. If you give me anything with a big kaiju on it, I'm in.
Yeah.
But the person that made this film understood Godzilla.
Yes.
He brought a fresh newness to the franchise while still making it feel like the classic Godzilla. Like even I've always laughed because Godzilla always looks cross-eyed.
Yeah.
The original Gross.
The original did.
And this one had his same face shape, which we haven't gotten in a while.
Yeah.
He had the mild cross-eyed look.
And a little like.
Yeah, because the way his eyes sit, he sometimes acts like, which is always what makes Godzilla kind of silly looking. But
because I always told you when we watched the original, like, why is it cross-eyed?
They put glasses on that fool. They made him slow moving.
He's got the big
haunches. Yeah.
And I'm just like,
they did switch him up on some of his texture stylings. They made him a little more rocky reptilian.
Reptile. I felt very reptile.
Yeah, a lot more like rocky exterior style.
Yo, his radioactive.
That shit was badass.
That was awesome. You gotta go watch it. The way he powers up, it is so cool to watch.
And they didn't spend a lot of time trying to explain why Godzilla exists.
Yeah,
and I think it was good because we didn't need it.
Mm-mm.
And I think they did a fantastic job of bringing an old school classic feel of the original Godzilla to a modern story that's a period piece.
Right?
I believe this,
All of that.
if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the very first Godzilla film that's a period piece. That didn't take place in the time period it existed in.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when the movie came out in the 50s.
This is set right after World War II.
Yeah, when the movie came out in the 50s, I think it took place in the 50s.
Yes, right.
Whereas these are all going back, and the entire movie takes place in that time period.
Yeah.
So,
but the actual story, the human story, it's very good. It's very compelling, and that one guy is so good, and the lady and the neighbor, and just rebuild, because it is a story of like rebuilding after this devastation and that feeling of failure and PTSD and not being worthy of whatever. And in a way, it had weird vibes of like Metallica, the video One,
yeah.
where the war is never over for some of these
that's
people.
the thing too. There's an element here of
this is such a deep movie.
Strange relationship of kind of dealing with like how soldiers and or prisoners deal with when they're no longer in the environment they've been used to for so long.
What do you do?
How do you get past that, and do you go back to that? And there's an idea of, in this case, Godzilla is the thing, but the war is the metaphor because Godzilla existed at the wartime. So it's Godzilla is what causes the scare and the freakness and the PTSD, but it's Godzilla's the metaphor of the entire war they're part of the culture.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting part of the movie where the guy comes back home and they're like, "Is your war finally over?" And he's like, "Yes." And that's a moment you can finally move forward because you can't let that go and intern it. That's why there's so many veterans and people that have
and then I'm over here crying.
Issues with their families and broken homes and counseling and drug abuse because they can't let certain things go, and they have PTSD and they have some of this trauma. And I don't think I've ever watched a Godzilla movie that had somebody that had trauma from being around Godzilla.
Right? They were traumatized.
This reminded me of how they handled Iron Man after Avengers. That he had PTSD from dealing with that.
So traumatized.
Which is how people should deal with after they deal with some weird crap like that.
Right? I mean, absolutely.
Now, have no fear of all the heavy goofiness we're talking about. There's plenty of Godzilla destroying stuff.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I was going to tell you. I feel like it was immediate. Like the movie starts with like Godzilla.
Yeah. And at first I was a little upset because the first Godzilla you see is different.
Yeah.
He's, like I said, he's a little smaller. He didn't fully look like classic Godzilla.
This dog is
But then
so
you realize
cute.
it's like this is an early version and he's not to his full potential yet.
And then at one point he's in the ocean or whatever, and I'm like, I wonder if he's like doing a doggy paddle.
Well, that's how he swims.
But he's not.
If you're watching, he has his arms, little T-Rex arms back, and he swims like a fish, like a shark.
But I was like, I wonder if he's doggy paddling. And then they show it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm being silly. But he had really, really short arms and like the big hips. I'm like, why are his hips so big? But
that's the way he looks in the original
or
design.
their hip. I don't know if he's a they. We don't know.
Well, yeah, it depends on who you ask.
Because some people think it.
I purposely wrote my review this time because we had the discussion about it when everything was it and they to make sure, because I was like, I'm pretty sure Godzilla's supposed to be a guy, but then we don't know if it's asexual. We don't know if it's male or female. People throwing temper tantrums about Godzilla with the pink.
We don't care. Oh, yeah, the new one.
But then other people were posting stuff about other times that Godzilla has lit up purple or pink or these different colors, and it's not what people are thinking, but whatever.
But I'm telling you, the radiation power up in this thing
is the coolest.
Amazing.
So the question now is, there's a lot of people that have said that they think this might be the greatest Godzilla movie that has ever existed. Even better than the original.
With the guy.
And some people have also flipped to the side and say it's on par with the original. So now you haven't seen every Godzilla movie. You've seen like you've seen all the new genre stuff.
I've seen the original with
then
the
you've
guy.
Seen the Matthew Broderick one. You've seen
the original with the scientist guy and the man in the
You've seen the original because we went to the theater and you got to see the one from the 50s.
Thing.
And
Sabini.
Dude, stop.
Get down.
And then you've seen this one, and I don't think you saw Shin Godzilla. But you haven't seen a lot of the other random weird ones.
We'll have to go watch all of them.
But Sabine, get down.
Get down, honey.
So with that being said, with the group of stuff you've seen, where does this movie stand?
I think this is the best movie ever. I think I like this one, then the original. The original's really good. It's still good.
think
I appreciate a man in suit there.
Yeah, I do too.
You got to. And
I do
for
have
the time period, what they were able to do was amazing.
The thing I love about the fact that you love Godzilla is going to make my next mission easier because I'm planning to try to own every Godzilla movie that's been made.
Oh,
There's like
okay.
30 something, but I know they put out a lot of releases where there's like 2 to 4 movies per DVD Blu-ray.
Okay,
So
well
I'm
then
hoping
we're
to get
gonna
them all.
watch them all.
Thankfully,
Baby,
we
go
have
sit down.
most of the others,
Go
but
sit down. No more.
I think I'm with you on this one. I think this might be up there because one of the things that I've always become irritated about any Godzilla movie are the humans annoy me.
Correct.
Like if they're boring stories or they're just in my way or they're why. I want Godzilla. Come on, I don't care about these people. I cared about these people.
I did.
You know, I enjoyed the
It
story.
is a compelling human
I was
story.
worried at the beginning of the movie because I was like, okay, they caught Godzilla. So like, how long am I going to watch this stupid guy? And oh my god, this whole.
But it didn't take very much.
No, but it kept you engaged.
Engaged.
And it's like I said, it's a story of itself without Godzilla. But when Godzilla shows up, you're reminded very quickly of what movie you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And that one scientist guy's hair.
I loved it. The doctor.
He had this big mad scientist type hair.
I love it. It's like,
especially when it's blowing at the end.
And so, but he still managed to keep his part.
So now I want to know, what is your theory of this title? What do you think this title means?
That now, okay, we had a Godzilla Minus One because maybe there's going to be now regular Godzilla.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Well, I think
saying, it's the same thing as like this one's.
Like they think maybe that Godzilla's gone, like so we got rid of one, but they're never really.
But now there's another one because
there
is a moment at the end of the movie that does let you know that we're setting up for more.
Oh,
and I can't imagine as well as this movie's doing.
Move us into the 60s or 70s Japan. I would love to see Japan in the 70s or the 60s.
Well, I can't imagine as well.
Oh
as
my
this
gosh!
done,
Come on,
we're not getting another one. I can't wait to see this movie in like a 4K presentation.
People in our theater were like engaged. And
it was dead silent. I was surprised how silent it was through the movie.
They were paying attention.
You know, and people.
But at times they would laugh when the joke would happen.
Right, but it was pretty.
Or they'd be like, oh.
Yeah,
but they were engaged. And
then we had applause when the movie was over.
There were some kids down at the bottom laughing, and people were like, "Shh, shh."
Oh, were they? I didn't.
Yeah, you can't hear it. Thank goodness.
Can I also tell you that I've enjoyed our last 2 theater outings because I haven't had to have hearing things because this movie is in Japanese, so it's subtitled.
But you know what? And
the last movie we saw was Silent Night, so there was no dialogue.
I was happy that many people showed up for a movie in another language at subtitle because we hear so many people like, I don't watch subtitles or I don't like that. I don't like. But I was so glad, like you said, they were engaged in what was happening. They were quiet. They were reading. They were paying attention, following along. They were reacting appropriately, and totally, we had applause.
I don't know if this will go. I don't know if it'll work, and I don't know if it'll get chosen. But I had to do my voting.
This is the greatest movie.
I had to do my voting for award season.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you, but I submitted it today.
Okay.
And on my foreign films, I put Godzilla as best foreign film.
I agree.
I had to pick a couple others, but
I think it's the best.
I'm not going to announce all of them. I'll tell you what I told you about the other ones. You can tell me what's.
Okay.
I didn't pick stuff that I didn't pick in that category. I didn't pick stuff that would probably be what you think would be normal. But this one, I firmly believe deserves to be.
Yes, I hope they win something.
If nothing else, I hope it gets credit for special effects and
and
all this other stuff. It is a fantastic Godzilla.
And
movie.
the Godzilla sound too. It's
when
classic.
That bass
some of that music.
The roar of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Is the original Godzilla or a variation because they said that they played it in the loudspeakers and recorded it, and then that way they could edit it into the film. So it's the use of.
And there was some music that felt familiar.
Well, that bass anytime Godzilla came over, then yeah, you knew Godzilla is Godzilla time when that crap hit.
And so far, I wonder what's the Rotten Tomatoes score on IMDb?
It was in it's 97, 98 percentile.
I'm gonna tell you.
I've only seen a couple people, and they're probably people that are not normal hater things that they thought was horrible. But
they don't know. 98%.
And when you get a 98%, is that the critic score?
That's the audience 97%. 97's
the critics. That's a big deal because critics are snooty.
They are, but on IMDb, all of the user ratings, everyone's giving it like a 9 and a 10. Best Godzilla movie ever. Takes me back to my childhood, better than the 60s version. I mean, it's and somebody posted right there, who thought you would cry at a Godzilla movie?
Right.
I'm telling you, this movie is so
I just want to point out how awesome of
a
time do we live in. Because I know that you didn't have this experience as a child, but
yes.
I grew up watching, they used to play the Godzilla movies on some of the UHF channels every weekend. So I was always watching either Godzilla or Ultraman, and then Kung Fu Theater. Those were my childhood. I grew watch these all the time. And to jump all these years later, almost 49, 50 years later of my life, and to have a year where a new Japanese Godzilla movie that came out, that is awesome. We got a TV series in the Godzilla universe, Monarch. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good so far.
And we've got a trailer that just dropped of the new Godzilla Kong movie that is part of another Godzilla Kong franchise that exists. I'm like,
it's awesome.
This is the greatest era ever now.
Yeah.
Just because we got enough Godzillas.
And now you can play with your toys.
And I can say, we got Godzillas. That's what my mom used to always say. She goes, are you watching those Godzillas again? I said, Mom, there's only one Godzilla. She goes, I see him doing a whole different stuff. I'm like,
she thought there were multiple?
You know there's a little baby Godzilla too.
Oh, yeah, right here.
No. In the movies. Or old movies, there's like a little kid Godzilla too.
Oh, does he teaching him how to Godzilla?
He was stupid.
Was he
my favorite, yeah, it was made in a suit too. My favorite thing is when people talk about, I just don't know why they make Godzilla stupid and do Godzilla do stupid things. People automatically will share, like, one of the most ridiculous things is what Godzilla used to do is sliding tail attack. He would fold up on his tail as such and slide at people like this.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm like,
I think it's funny.
Don't say the Godzilla now is doing something stupid and then ignore that. Anyway, Godzilla Minus One is in theaters now. If you don't check it out, you're lame.
Okay.
So check it out now.
We got one more movie to talk about, which is good because
this movie is polar opposite of everything.
This dog's being too much. All right. So this is the movie Poor Things. Oops. Sorry, I had an ear.
Yes.
Sorry, Poor Things, which is very controversial, obviously.
It is. I'd heard a lot of stuff about this movie prior for its release. It's in theaters now, but in limited release. It gets wide release on December 22nd, I believe.
Go away.
Something like that. But it's Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo and Willem Dafoe. But it's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who directed The Lobster, Killing of the Sacred Deer.
I was like, The Lobster.
The Lobster is such a great movie, and Killing of the Sacred Deer is actually pretty good as well. So I already knew it was going to probably be a little bit strange because he does make some strange things.
A little bit strange.
But this movie takes the cake. This is a way stranger movie than those other two, in my opinion.
Really?
But in the best way possible. I love this movie.
I really enjoyed it as well. I like it here with all this controversy and
there's a plethora of nudity and sex scenes, and it's Emma Stone. It's not doubles. It's her being naked and having sex, which I think the first thing was people hadn't seen Emma Stone do this.
Well, yeah,
and then secondly is it's gratuitously done in a way that, and I don't mean gratuitously like not purposeful.
It's purposeful to me.
But it's gratuitous in form as it happens a lot. And so I think it was shocking to some people because she's always had that girl next door, family friendly vibe. And big shout out to her because she's most excellent in this movie.
She is. She did a great job.
And I think if I remember correctly, reading a story talking about the movie and the director saying, you're going to have to do all this stuff. She goes, okay, let's do it. What are you doing? Where do you need me? She embraced it and went all in.
Yeah. So it's kind of a bit of like a Frankenstein tale.
Yeah, I guess sort of.
So she's created.
But she's not made.
She's
a person that died and is brought back.
Brought back-ish, whatever. But they remake her in a way.
Yeah, so she's essentially a child
So
now.
she's having to learn. So she's learning to be a person.
Yeah.
Okay? And just a big body.
Which doesn't sound like it would be that kind of. It sounds like it'd be stupid. Really.
And then at times it's a little bit funny and crazy and awkward. But it makes sense if you just follow along in the story. And I think all the sex stuff makes sense if you're following along in the story.
It's very much a story of a woman.
Because it's like,
I don't know if I want to say woman empowerment, but a woman accepting herself and growing to who she is, and with no shame and no embarrassment of being a woman.
No, because if you look at it from a perspective of a child.
Yeah.
You remember, when kids, like when boys find their thing.
Penis, yeah.
Yeah. They're like,
oh, yeah.
This is a thing.
There's a moment in the movie she's like, oh, let me rub that. And there's there's terminology that we have now embraced into our lifestyle. What was it called? The lady called it her hairy business?
Yeah. She touched my hairy business. She reached out and grabbed her.
And it's not because she was trying to be inappropriate. It's because she found She found hers and found her
like,
pleasure.
Hey, here's a
the lady
happy
was in
spot.
a bad mood.
She's like,
goes,
you look angry. Let me show you your happy spot.
And yeah, it's just like.
So I think if you look at it from that perspective as a person who's finding out that, and then if you get it into your teenage years and you're sexually
you start experimenting
active,
more often.
Yeah, so I think if you look at it from that perspective, it makes sense. Now I guess it is shocking.
I think all the gratuitous sex aspect is really the metaphor of you found something you like, you want more of it. You know, it's like anything else. You found candy you like a movie you like, something you collect. You want more and more and more.
But
and at some point you figure out, and you don't really care what you need to do to get it. You're just going to keep trying to find it.
But then too, the addition of Mark Ruffalo's character is it's kind of exploitative to her to the point where then she kind of takes off on her own and leaves him behind.
And kind of exploits him, which is hilarious.
Yes, because he's one of those guys that kind of wines and dines women and uses them and then moves on to the next one.
If you will.
So then she starts to do that to him, and he's like, but I love you. Why are you doing this to me?
She is outstanding in the movie, but he is fantastic.
He is the best.
Because he brings, I think, like an old Hollywood period vibe where he's saying things like "hark," and he's doing these like, you know, and like
just over
like
the
theater
top
type behavior,
crazy,
very theater like behavior,
just so crazy.
And especially when he starts getting really emotional,
yes,
it's hilarious because he's like, he's arguing with her, but she has very little emotion, and she's embracing this character like I'm talking down to her essence, because the way she walks, the way she talks, the way she moves, it's hers is a full body, full emotional performance.
It has to be.
He goes to a gamut of emotions while trying to be suave, but he's also a buffoon.
Yeah,
and he's fantastic. Like this is another one of my favorite movies of the year, just because
it's really good. I didn't know what to expect.
I didn't either. I
was just hearing all this controversy. I'm like, I don't even know what.
I knew she was naked, and I knew Yorgos worked on it, and I was
a
fan.
You know, but how is that controversial?
It's again, it's not.
I think if they choose to do it as an actor and it's pivotal to the movie and moves this movie forward, I'm okay with it.
That's not the controversy.
I think if it's gratuitous just to be gratuitous, then no.
No, I agree, but I don't. The controversy
just because they were talking
was. Like, one, that it was Emma Stone, and two, of how much was there.
Is this the same thing as the Florence Pugh in the other movie? Like,
yes, because you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't. I'm waiting to watch it on the big screen.
Sex scenes in there are not as gratuitous as this, but they do happen fairly often because she's not in the movie a lot.
No.
But they were kind of shocking to me when I saw it because I didn't expect that. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm in the theater. I can't rewind this.
Wow.
I want to see it again, you know. But yeah, this movie is it also has kind of and I always hate to compare to other filmmakers, but the world felt like something between Wes Anderson and Tim Burton, and
yeah, it's very
but very Yorgos. It's not, he didn't copy anybody. It's his own thing. It's just.
But I like too that we're in a time, I don't know what time period we're in. We're like an alternate universe of like 50s or 40s, 50s.
I think it's way
earlier
further back. Yeah.
Okay, well, because it's just interesting though, but we take it as just normal.
I don't think it even matters really.
It doesn't matter, but just it's like old timey modern.
Like period piece.
It's very period, but it's not. I don't know. It's a weird mix of the two, like you were saying. But we take for granted that a mad scientist can exist and create these things, and nobody questions it. Yeah. Like all these people that they're around, like the Chog. The chicken dog, or
I
don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah,
but
there's some weird visuals that you're just like,
and you're just like, okay.
And you know what I found?
You just roll with it.
Is by the time we get to some of those weirder visuals, you don't even notice them. Everything is so weird that you see them, you're like, wait a minute, was that such and such? And you're like,
Chog.
Yeah. And I also found
I
found it intriguing that it's black and white for a while, and then transitions into color.
Well, I think as she's younger and like less, and then as she becomes more verbal, it kind of opens
it's like the color palette
and then
grows
it becomes
with her.
more vibrant.
Yes.
And
it's very.
I was gonna say there's this one moment they're sailing around the world or whatever, and did you notice that like the color palette, like the dark gross thing, and then suddenly like this bright orange sky.
Yeah.
You know, when she's learning about. The black guy, what's his name? I don't remember.
The actor?
Yeah.
Gerard Carmichael?
Yes.
Yeah.
As he's explaining to her, suddenly like the world becomes like the sky lights up, and it's such a subtle moment. But as she begins to gain more knowledge,
recognize him, right?
Yes.
The guy from that sitcom we used to watch.
Yes. Because I was like, who is this kid? But it's that Gerard show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me because I forgot his name. But I
Yeah.
was like, who is this? Like, I know him. But it was interesting that as he's explaining and she's getting more knowledge, the colors open up. And that one scene was just like so striking to me because you have the difference between these two groups of people he's explaining. The other thing that I loved with him, with Gerard, is I think he's the only black man in it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And no one said anything. He was never looked down upon. He was with the high society people, and I loved that. There was no explanation why we have one black gentleman with this older white lady, and they're a couple or whatever. No explanation needed, and I loved it. And I love that the other main guy, that's the guy that likes her, is Indian or something. And so I just loved it. It was kind of like theater casting, where it didn't matter what your nationality or background was. Like, it was just a universe of people acting, and I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it felt outstanding. I thought Willem Dafoe was great in it.
He was creepy.
Very
But
creepy.
I'm telling you, it's
Did you catch, or I don't know if it was purposeful, but you did mention that it has almost like a Frankenstein vibe to it.
Yes.
But did you kind of catch the idea that he plays the Dr. Frankenstein aspect, but also looks like the Frankenstein monster?
Yes.
It's like they embodied both people into one
him.
character.
Yeah.
Who's very much in love with her, but
Yeah.
not in a weird way. Like he's like a father.
And it's weird because she calls him God.
Yeah.
Because his name's Godwin, but that's all she can get. She's like, but God said. And they're like,
one of the best parts of the story is when she decides to go out on her own, goes out on her
this
Rumspringa.
guy, I love him.
They try to make another one, and it becomes this whole other comical
It's like,
aspect of
that
trying to make
didn't
her
work.
life. It's funny.
Anyways, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I think it is going to be one of those where it may not be everyone's taste and they may not like it. And that's okay. But if you want to see it, go see it with an open mind.
And I liked, well, it doesn't really matter. I'll tell you after. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I really love this movie. This is another one
was
that I hope gets recognized during award season. I'll put a lot of stuff down for this one too.
Yep.
Again, Mark Ruffalo was my favorite in this movie. He was
my
so
favorite.
outstanding. And I like Mark Ruffalo, but he's always hit and miss with me because he's always good, but I don't think he always stands out as much. And in this one, he really stands out and did a great job.
I mean, he's good on 13 going on 30. That was him, right?
I think so. I don't know. I watched that movie. Anyway, Poor Things is, like I said, in limited release now. And then it opens wide on, I think in Dallas, it opens wide on the 15th, and then it opens worldwide the 22nd.
Yeah.
If you want to see something different and just kind of bizarre uniqueness, Poor Things is a movie for you.
It is. It's really good. All right.
Is that all we got?
Yep. Over to you, sir.
All right. This week there's all kinds of little things coming out on the Blu-ray and the Divid.
Okay.
We've got Face Off is getting a 4K release. I don't know who's putting that up, but let me figure it out. Clue is getting the 4K
The
release.
original?
The original. There's
Will
only one.
Well,
yeah.
Is there not another?
No, there's only one Clue.
Will there have all the
It has all the endings. Yeah, every release since the theatrical run has had all three endings at the end. Old Boy, the original, it hit theaters
Asian
again.
One?
Yeah, it hit theaters again for its anniversary, and it's getting a 4K deluxe edition if you've never seen it.
Woo!
The Josh Brolin remake is really good.
It is good.
The original is fantastic.
I don't think I've seen the original. I've only seen
But
Josh
we have
Brolin,
it
and
downstairs.
I was like,
Yes, it is. It's one of those controversial
oh
big
my
endings.
gosh.
Five Nights at Freddy's is getting the 4K and Blu-ray release for those people. It was a massive hit. So for those that love it, it's coming out.
But it wasn't good.
It doesn't matter. It was a massive hit.
Well, maybe for the gamers.
Weird, the Al Yankovic story is getting the 4K Blu-ray release coming soon. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is getting its Blu-ray and 4K release. I love that movie. I thought it was great. The Creator, as we mentioned, is getting a 4K release. The last of the big release, first-time releases of the Disney Plus original series, both The Mandalorian Season 1 and 2 are coming out to Blu-ray and 4K. So they put out Loki Season 1, WandaVision, and the first two seasons of Mandalorian.
Nice.
These are the only series thus far that they have commercially released off of Disney Plus. So hopefully they've done well, that we'll get some more next year.
That'd be nice.
Because we got Mandalorian Season 3, Loki Season 2, and then Captain America, Falcon, all these different things. So anyway, all those will be available. I think those are the main ones. Let me see if I'm missing anything really quick. The Ring Collection is coming out.
The originals?
It's the box set of all the original movie stuff. So anyway.
Well, good, because I got to watch that. on my Science of Scare thing.
Yeah, so that's the ones coming out this week.
All right. So let's talk about what's coming online or at the theater. There's a lot happening. We'll try to keep it short. Coming out tomorrow on the 11th on Video Demand and Digital is a movie called Night Train. It's a single mom who is running black market medical supplies on her legendary night train, but suddenly she finds out the FBI has become aware of the operation and she's on the run. Oh, that's cute. Then coming out on Tuesday on Video Demand and Digital, a movie called Family Game. It's a family of illegal poachers and they sell wild meat out of their garage. One of the sons wants to go legit, and one of the sons gets out of prison and is threatening to destroy the whole thing. Well, let me see in a minute. Also coming out, Video Demand and Digital, a movie called Walden. It's about a stenographer in a small town, and he has seen so many things happen in the courtroom. He discovers he has a terminal illness, and he decides to go after justice and take justice into his own hands because he's been there the whole time, and he's been seeing the things that go wrong in the court. So now he's going to go take care of it. Then this looks different, a movie called Chick Flick. It's a girl that finds out her fiance is cheating on her, so she breaks up with him at the altar, and she decides to go out and start dating on every social media app there is. And of course, craziness ensues, but then she might actually find true love.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wednesday, coming out now on the line. If you're so interested, the Taylor Swift Eras Tour is now going to be online, not just in the theater. Friday.
Oh, is that this Friday?
If you're so inclined in the theater, there's a movie called Wonka coming out. If you are into that whole Willy Wonka thing, this one is. I'm just like, meh.
Are you even interested in seeing that?
No, I haven't.
So I can just go see it without you?
Yeah, because I don't even really care.
This is a prequel.
I don't care for Willy Wonka.
I get it. That's fine.
And the Johnny Depp one was weird. This is Timothy Chalamet playing a young Wonka as he's getting started with the factory. And he's the first Oompa Loompa. So we'll see.
Okay, so I can go see that without you?
Please
okay,
do.
I may go Friday while you're at the office.
I'm not interested. But that's okay. Coming out to Apple TV Plus, a movie called The Family Plan. It's a suburban dad who has to take his family on the run because his past is catching up with him, and it stars, dun, 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 Marky Mark.
And his Funky Bunch.
Also on Video Demand and Digital, a movie called The Zone of Interest. This is interesting. It's the story about a family, and the man is a commander at the Auschwitz camp. So this is during the German invasion. So first of all, you have to believe that this actually happened for those weirdo people that say that the Jews were never killed or that it never happened.
Yeah, there's a lot at that point.
Anyways, okay, so this man and his family, he's the commander of the camp. Him and his family have a house right outside the brick wall of the camp, and they're trying to have like a normal life. So it's really following the lady and the kids and all that, and their kind of weird normal life running a concentration camp. It's bizarre but interesting. I think it was one of those movies that said it's horrific and you need to see it. You need to know the history and watch.
That's one of the ones that I have coming.
Either
already have it or it's coming.
I would like to watch it.
I don't know.
It says horrific, must watch.
Because it's one of those I think that's going around as one of those consideration ones.
This is interesting.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
Video Demand and Digital, Angel Baby. It's this husband and wife lose a child who's stillborn. They go off to a cabin in the woods to heal. First of all, when you go out into a cabin in the woods, something bad's going to happen. So suddenly they sense an evil presence is out to get them, and craziness is going to ensue again. I always say that, but it's true. So it's kind of like a sad movie that turns horrific. I'm in. Oh my gosh, the new Netflix movie of the week, Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. This is the super long awaited, probably only by me, sequel to Chicken Run. We got to find Chicken Run and watch it.
I don't think we own it.
I love Chicken Run. I don't know why. It was just when the Pie Factory.
Well, I didn't like it back then, but
you like this claymation stuff.
I do like the animation, but I wasn't big into Shaun the Sheep and Wallace and Gromit from the same people at the time. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan now.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to give because we got to watch the original Chicken Run first.
Yes, we got to watch Chicken Run, and then we're gonna watch Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget. Coming to Paramount Plus, this is a movie called Finest Kind. It stars Jenna Ortega, and a couple of people. So it's basically these two brothers on opposite sides of the tracks have a reunion one year, and she's kind of stuck in the middle between the two, and it becomes dangerous because they're dealing with a Boston crime family or something. I don't know what's happening. It looks interesting. It's
That's
a drama.
That's what we're going to watch tonight.
This one?
Yeah.
American Fiction. What is this one about, babe?
It's got Jeffrey Wright, who's like a author who's kind of against all the tropes of black culture, the way they make him. But he has to. He
unwittingly becomes part of.
He writes I think a book under a name, Try to Prove a Point, and he unwittingly becomes popular because of it. If I understand
the very
right.
thing he was trying to fight.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
Coming out on video demand and digital, a movie called Ruthless. This looks interesting. It's a high school coach that goes after these guys that kidnap a girl from the school for sex trafficking, and he goes after them. And I'm like, what high school coach would go after?
Art Camacho in it?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Like, what kind of high school coach is going to go try to save some kid that was kidnapped at school? But
Dermot Mulroney?
I guess so.
And Art Camacho? I know you don't know who that is.
I don't, but we're going to see. Video demand digital movie called 0 Hour. This lady loses her husband, and she finally returns to work at the night shift.
Did she find him?
She finally returns to work.
You said she lost him.
She lost her husband.
She couldn't find him?
Her husband dies.
Oh.
After her period of mourning, she returns
to work. After her period in the morning? This is a weird movie already. She can't find her husband. She had a period in the morning. All this when she went to work.
She's working the night shift, and then realizes that someone is stalking her. But she thinks it may be the people that killed her husband.
Or it could be her husband because she hasn't found him yet.
That's true. Also coming out on Netflix, this is interesting. It's a new documentary called Face to Face with ETA, Conversations with the Terrorist. So the ETA was a terrorist organization in Spain that operated for like over 50 years, and they were finally dismantled in 2018. So this is a conversation with some of those members, and it's just really interesting about how the group worked and some of their terrorist attacks and all that. So if you're into those kinds of stories, it'd probably be an interesting movie for you. So there you go. That's what's happening this week. Over to you.
What is this? So for giveaways, she's got it all out of order. Okay,
babe.
No, it's not out of order for you, but I'm saying for me, from what I'm looking, so I got to read it properly because I tend to look at this. So that's
what I was trying to do.
No,
and then you
I don't care. But because I'm trying to mix it for the viewer of the website. Shut it.
Tell me what's on the screen.
So we got copies of the movie Mercy Road, which we'll be talking about next week.
Okay.
Also Weird, the Al Yankovic story, which is a fantastic film.
Yes, we will.
Then we have still a couple of copies left of The Fugitive on 4K, as well as Eye for an Eye, The Blind Swordsman, martial arts flick that I enjoyed. One of the new additions is not the band new edition. It's a movie called The Wandering Earth 2.
Is there a Wandering Earth 1?
Yes. Oh. And I was going to tell everybody, if you're interested in this, I actually just finished watching The Wandering Earth. It is on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
So you can find the first one. The premise of the movie, and the reason I'm going to tell you the premise of this one is because this one is the prequel. The premise of the movie is there's basically I don't remember if it's the sun is dying or anyway there's an issue with stuff around Earth, so they basically attach all these mass engines to Earth and turn the Earth into a ship and push the Earth to a different part of the galaxy so they can save the planet. That's essentially what the story is.
And did you see that they've discovered a new hole in the sun recently? I was reading about this.
So basically this
is this going to happen?
So that's the premise of the movie is Earth has become basically a spaceship now.
Okay.
It's got gigantic thrusters, and so as they're traveling, this is all what's in the first movie. As they're traveling, it becomes kind of an action adventure what is the word I'm looking for? Like weather destructions and all those kind of things, trying to survive while they're trying to save it. This movie, I believe, is the second, which I have not watched yet, is about them building those engines and making that plan. And there's probably other adventures that go along with it. Okay. It was apparently a massive hit upon its release, the first one. And then the last one we have is the original Color Purple. We have some copies on 4K in preparation for the new musical version that's coming out to theaters. That's getting Oscar buzz already for the new one. It's a
Christmas movie.
But I don't know.
Because to me, that story doesn't feel like a Christmas movie, but What do I
It's not a
know?
Christmas movie.
It's coming out on Christmas.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make it a Christmas movie.
I hope
fool.
they're not trying to make it a Christmas
I'm still
movie.
concerned that I don't know it's going to have the same impact as a music, but you never
Correct.
know.
We'll see. We gotta watch
It's
this
getting
one.
a lot of Oscar buzz already,
Mm.
but it could be residuals from the original movie. They got tons of Oscar buzz, so I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we got going.
Alrighty. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Click on the contest button for all the free stuff. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or X, and Hive. Oh, too many things. That is it. Peace be with you. Say bye.
Bye.